The Assembly and the Senate are done out of the Capitol. Now the legislative session is over, a racial justice expert will take a look at the biggest items that passed this year. Hello and welcome to Empire State Weekly. I'm John Gray in Albany. Legislative session has ended, the Assembly ending its push, getting several items passed in their brief return back to Albany and the Capitol. The Assembly passing the Wrongful Convictions Act by a vote of 91 to 46. That bill would make it easier for those convicted of a crime to overturn their cases. Additionally, the Assembly passed a measure that protects abortion and reproductive health service providers who might use telehealth. That measure is now up for debate in the state Senate. Joining us now to look back at this legislative session is Lee Rowland, the policy director for the New York Civil Liberties Union. Lee, welcome to the show.
Thanks, John.
We loved schools letting out for the summer, but let's give the session a good old school grade, A, B minus. Where would you rank it in terms of what you were hoping to see get done?
Yeah, I think I might take your option of B minus. It was the definition of a mixed bag. There were certainly some real highlights that will increase people's rights, that'll, give people more liberty and equality. But overall, there were a lot of really big ticket items that were left on the table, including housing issues, making sure our kids don't go to school near polluting highways. I think a lack of leadership and funding on ensuring that we can support migrants who are coming to New York for a better life. And overall, I think there was a sense, particularly for progressive and civil rights advocates who were playing a part in the session, really a feeling that this is a
The Assembly and the Senate are done out of the Capitol. Now the legislative session is over, a racial justice expert will take a look at the biggest items that passed this year. Hello and welcome to Empire State Weekly. I'm John Gray in Albany. Legislative session has ended, the Assembly ending its push, getting several items passed in their brief return back to Albany and the Capitol. The Assembly passing the Wrongful Convictions Act by a vote of 91 to 46. That bill would make it easier for those convicted of a crime to overturn their cases. Additionally, the Assembly passed a measure that protects abortion and reproductive health service providers who might use telehealth. That measure is now up for debate in the state Senate. Joining us now to look back at this legislative session is Lee Rowland, the policy director for the New York Civil Liberties Union. Lee, welcome to the show.
Thanks, John.
We loved schools letting out for the summer, but let's give the session a good old school grade, A, B minus. Where would you rank it in terms of what you were hoping to see get done?
Yeah, I think I might take your option of B minus. It was the definition of a mixed bag. There were certainly some real highlights that will increase people's rights, that'll, give people more liberty and equality. But overall, there were a lot of really big ticket items that were left on the table, including housing issues, making sure our kids don't go to school near polluting highways. I think a lack of leadership and funding on ensuring that we can support migrants who are coming to New York for a better life. And overall, I think there was a sense, particularly for progressive and civil rights advocates who were playing a part in the session, really a feeling that this is a Democratic supermajority that underperformed and often let a governor whose politics are inherently a little more conservative than the state assembly and Senate really define this session and the legacy of the bills they passed. So I think overall, some good stuff in there. Thankfully, some pork. Things on the table. I think it comes down to a B minus this year.
Let's talk about the migrants for a second. I'd heard talk about $1 billion sort of being set aside. Not enough money. What more would you like to see happen? And the second part of that question is, we're taping this from upstate in Albany. We've got counties up here saying, look, we weren't a sanctuary city. We love humanity. We love people, but we can't take it. We don't want people coming here who we didn't ask for. Where do you stand with all of that in terms of funding, and also those who say, hey, we didn't raise our hand to say send them, so why are you sending them?
Well, I think it's pretty clear that every municipality across New York has both a moral and a legal duty to greet immigrants with compassion and inclusion, and we can do it. We have the money. Every expenditure is a policy choice, and the other thing I'd say, because you asked what more should people be doing, is that it's not just about money. Of course, we want adequate funding. We want to ensure people can get on their feet, not only for their benefit and human rights, but for the benefit of the community, expedite people's work permits, get them into communities, get them health care. So we in New York State, we actually have a right to shelter, an economic right to serve the needy, a duty on the government to ensure that the needs of more unfortunate folks are met in our state constitution. It's not simply New York City's role, although, of course, the city has the Statue of Liberty, and we've been welcoming migrants to our shore proudly, for centuries now. So, what really we'd like to see is more moral leadership from the governor, certainly also from the mayor of New York, to be clear that folks are welcome here, and they should be welcome here as a moral matter, but as a legal matter, our state constitution says we're going to meet the needs of these folks and make sure they have the networks and resources they need to thrive. And what we've seen, as you mentioned, John, we have seen counties outside of New York City that have passed illegal resolutions, executive orders, for example, in Rockland and Orange counties, that contain kind of racist and xenophobic assumptions and accusations about folks coming to their town. So we need the funding so that people don't have that fear response. And we have that money, we have the supports for these folks, and we need statewide leadership from the governor to remind towns and cities outside of New York that our duty to provide shelter for people and ensure that basic human rights are met actually is a statewide obligation that stems from our Constitution.
Let's jump topics, talk clean slate. They did get it through as we're taping this segment right now. I don't believe the governor signed it quite yet. What's the holdup there, and where you stand on all that?
Oh, we're definitely in favor of clean slate. That's been a bill we've been pulling for a couple of years, along with tons of civil rights, racial justice groups. Clean slate fundamentally is a bill that allows folks, after they have fully completed any prison sentence and the term of any conviction, to apply years after they've completed that sentence for their record to be sealed, so that it doesn't operate as a barrier to jobs and employment, and people actually have a second chance to reestablish their lives, to get jobs and homes, and be a part of their community. So this is a no-brainer. It's a core civil rights and racial justice priority. We're really proud to support it at the New York ACLU.
Let me ask you,
it's not uncommon.
Somewhere there's a small business owner saying, look, I have a little flower shop. I need to hire somebody to run the register and work the front desk. I should be able to know if somebody went to prison for stealing money, perhaps. What do you say to that person? Basically, it's been a number of years. They've turned their life around. You don't have a right to just block them because of a mistake maybe made 10 years ago?
Well, this bill does have exceptions for certain licensed professions that require a certain amount of kind of personal trust or power. So there are exemptions for professions where there's a particular or unique need to look longer at someone's full record. But for the flower shop owner, I would say that's exactly why we need clean slate. We have a justice system ostensibly for a reason, right? Which is when people go in, they're serving their time. We as society have said, here's a sentence, and when you complete that, you've paid back, right, the debt that we've decided you owe to society. And so when you're talking about getting that person a job, right, or making sure they find housing, whether it's at the flower shop or somewhere else, we know that convictions operate as a massive barrier. People with criminal convictions are discriminated against all the time, no matter how long that may have been in the past. And that is the judgment of Clean Slate, and it's why we support it, which is at some point, folks who have, you know, completed the sentence that we have decided as society is the right way, right, to handle a crime, that we actually want to recognize that our justice system has done the work, that you have completed your sentence and made that effort to come back into society, and we can remove needless barriers that end up just discriminating against, again, the person you were, right, before you committed a crime, were convicted, and served that full sentence. And this is, we're now honoring the checks we write with the criminal justice system, which is to say, when you're done, and you're part of our community. We want you to have that job. We want you to get housing, stable housing, because that's not only good as a civil rights matter for people who have been incarcerated, it's good for all of us. It makes our community stronger. It's great for our economy. And of course, it's a huge racial justice matter because our criminal justice system wildly overrepresents particularly Black and Latino New Yorkers. So when we allow that criminal justice system to continue to be a barrier to housing and jobs, it's also having a downstream, really acute racial impact. So Clean Slate is not just a broad civil rights good, to put us on the right track to welcome people back into society. It's also a key racial justice matter, and I think one of the real highlights of this legislative session.
Lee, we'll have to leave it there because we're out of time, but thank you for coming on. Enjoy your summer, and we'll see you back here real soon, I'm sure.
You too. Thanks.
Lee Roland from the New York Civil Liberties Union. We appreciate you coming on. School districts around the state continuing to manage the state's ban on Native American mascots and imagery. In a moment, when we come back, we'll hear from a Native advocate on the importance of the ban and background on just how far back this issue really goes. Welcome back to Empire State Weekly. I'm John Gregg in Albany. Continuing to follow the mascot mandate, more school districts are changing their mascots and their team names to follow the state education department's ban on Native American imagery. Several school districts, including Capital Region schools, have all changed their mascots from indigenous imagery to unassociated names, things like the Hawks or the Storm. Others are holding meetings to determine new names, while others are still pushing back against the ban. School districts must eliminate the use of Native American mascots by 2025. Joining us now to give additional insight into the mascot mandate faced by New York schools is John Kane. He's a Native activist and a member of the NYSED Indigenous Mascot Advisory Council. John, thanks for joining us today on the show.
Well, thanks for having me.
For those who either have been living under a rock or maybe they haven't thought about their high school or what the mascot was since they left 40 years ago, why is this a big deal to the group you represent?
Well, first off, I'm Native, so I've been kind of fighting this issue for a number of years. The ban that actually has been issued, effective essentially this month, came about as a fight that I took on against my old high school, Cambridge, New York, and I formally asked them to change the mascot back in the end of 2020. They voted to retire it at the end of that school year. Then they unretired it. We pushed the fight up to the NYSED level, and they were ordered to remove their mascot. And then I kept pressing NYSED, said, look, if you can tell one school, the school that I went to get rid of, you should tell all schools, because you still have almost a couple of hundred schools in the state of New York that were carrying Native mascots. And so they indeed did that, and then asked me to sit on the advisory council. Look, there's always the argument that that these mascots were never intended to be derogatory. And it's fine to say that, but what ends up happening is you actually have almost like an identity theft, where you have non-Native people claiming to be Indians or warriors or raiders or whatever else, and they carry that identity with them, like, well into their alumni years. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. and so you essentially have non-native people making a mockery by using false stereotypes of native people, miseducating their own students. So in a way, not just harming native kids with this role playing essentially, but also um, but also misinforming, the non-native students about who native people are. I mean, many kids will go through their whole life only viewing native people through this lens of the mascot they had in high school, and then
What
we
do you
have to
say,
confront
John?
that later. Oh,
Yeah,
go ahead.
sorry. What do you say though if they say, no, no, you're misunderstanding. I'm not. I'm honoring you. I'm not mocking you. I'm honoring you. We think Indians or chiefs or whatever. It's a brave culture, and we look up to it. That's why we want to be like that. What do you say to those people?
Well, we don't consider it an honor, and in fact, you're not honoring us. You're taking our identity and claiming it for yourselves. That's not honoring us. I mean, that's appropriation, and it's also more often than not done in a very stereotypical or in inaccurate way. And half the time they're using Plains Indian headdresses as they're claiming to represent us, regionally, or they'll use words like Indians and not even know who are the native people that they're claiming to be. If you want to get down to that, Cambridge, for instance, they call themselves the Cambridge Indians, but you couldn't ask somebody, well, what Indians are you actually claiming to be? They didn't know, and they never delved into doing any additional education on the subject. So, it's almost absurd to suggest that when non-native people call themselves Indians or warriors or savages, that somehow they're doing it to honor us, and we certainly don't consider it an honor.
Usually there's one that will not go along no matter if a gun's put to their head. Is everybody going along with this now that there's a threat from the state and they have a deadline and look, you have to do it? Or do you have any schools that are saying, we'll see you in court?
Nobody has threatened any legal action that I'm aware of, although Cambridge still has an appeal before the state courts on the original order for them to get rid of their mascot. Now that kind of becomes a moot point once the state issues a statewide ban. So their case is probably going to get thrown out any day. And I think Cambridge has still dragged their feet um, on creating or fulfilling the mandate here, which is to not only have a resolution to retire the mascot, which they have, it was from a couple of years ago, but to have a plan to get rid of the mascot. And Cambridge hasn't done that yet. So in many ways, Cambridge is still the only school that's, for all intents and purposes, in violation. They had their board meeting for this month, and they took no action regarding the statewide ban, and they were never issued a stay or any kind of injunctive relief when they filed their appeal. So they're really bound by not only the original order from Dr. Rosa for them to get rid of their mascot, but they're also obviously bound by the statewide ban. So Cambridge might be the only school that is still dragging their feet. Everybody else, there's a lot of grumbling, and there's no question about that. But I think pretty much every school is understanding that if they had a native mascot, or if they have a nickname that was once associated with native imagery or some kind of iconography, that's what has to go, and that's by order of the NISAD and the Board of Regents.
We've only got a minute left, but I want to get this one question. I know someone out there watching is going to think, oh, you know what? If you give it on this, next thing you know, I went to Oswego, SUNY Oswego. I lived in an Onondaga Hall, Seneca, Cayuga. There's a lot of Native American, not imagery so much, but streets like in upstate New York. Niskayuna's got a lot of streets named after Indian tribes. Does this extend beyond sports, or is this more of just, no, it's a one-off, it's this issue for people like you?
Well, although most of this mascot issue is associated with sports, this is really about identity. So if you've got a landmark, if you've got a river, a valley, a building that's named, or even a school district that's named after native people in some way, like a Mahana Center or whatever, that's not what we're saying has to be eliminated. What we're saying is you cannot you can't play Indian and claim our identity. So this is about taking a name and applying it to the student body where they're calling themselves warriors, Redskins, Indians, Braves. It isn't about building names or street names or town names or any of that other stuff. And that's not ever really where we were going with this stuff. And we understand that many of those names were names that we called a certain area. And although the names oftentimes have been somewhat bastardized in terms of the language, that's not at all what our intent is. So I think a lot of that discussion is deflection. And it's like you were saying, like, oh, we're going to go down a slippery slope if they allow us to get rid of if they make us get rid of our mascots, we're going to have to change everything. That's an absurd proposition as far as we're concerned.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. John Kay, thank you for joining us today on the show. We do appreciate it.
Thanks for asking me to join you, and thanks for letting me weigh in. I appreciate it.
Returning to the coverage of the Assembly's brief session, while lawmakers got some items done, there's still lots to do. When we come back, we'll look at the items that didn't pass the Assembly, hear from lawmakers on what they're looking forward to next session. By the way, if you have a comment or story idea, please let us know about it. You can email us at news@news10.com. You can also reach out on Twitter at WTEN. Welcome back to Empire State Weekly. I'm John Gray in Albany. Now that the legislative session is officially over for both the state, Senate, and the Assembly, lawmakers are looking forward to what they would like to accomplish next year. A Capitol correspondent, Jamie DeLine, telling us about legislation still waiting to get passed.
After a late budget and a push to get as much legislation passed as possible before the end of June, the 2023 legislative session has concluded. But still, big issues such as coverage for all has yet to be ironed out. If passed, the bill would expand health insurance to include undocumented immigrants. Assemblyman Chris Tague is against the legislation.
When are we going to start taking care of our people, the people that pay the bills in this state?
Another piece of controversial legislation that Democratic lawmaker Amy Paulin will once again try to get passed is medical aid in dying. The bill would allow a mentally capable adult with a terminal illness and 6 months or less to live to have the option to request a prescription which would allow them to die. Anita Cameron with the organization Not Dead Yet is happy the legislation didn't pass this year, saying she worries it will have a negative effect on marginalized communities and believes in focusing on palliative care. Reporting in Albany, I'm Jamie DeLine.
Stay tuned. We'll be back with a look at the week ahead in just a moment. By the way, if you have a comment or story idea, let us know. You can email us at news@news10.com. You can also find us right there on Twitter, WTEN. Finally, on Empire State Weekly, one item that the Assembly was able to get through and pass this session prohibits the disposal of radioactive chemicals into the Hudson River. The disposal is part of a plan to decommission the Indian Point nuclear power plant in Westchester County. Supporters of the bill explain, while the process of disposing of these chemicals into the river has been done for years, now is time to change that. Next week, we'll speak with a lawmaker in support of this measure on what the next steps are going to be. For now, from all of us here on Empire State Weekly, I'm John Gray in Albany. We'll see you right here next week. And don't forget, you can watch Empire State Weekly all over New York State. Here's the full schedule of Empire State Weekly on 10 television stations across this beautiful, great state of New York.